In this video, I'm going to be installing Debian. I'm using VirtualBox, but if you install it on your computer, it's the exact same thing. You'll just, instead of loading the ISO image into software, you'll burn it to a disk and then put it in your computer and then boot from that disk. So if you're doing it from VirtualBox though, you click New, then you can type Debian and it will automatically select the type and version for you. Then next, and then you'll select how much memory you want to give it. Since this is for demonstrative purposes, I'll just leave everything at the defaults. Then create a virtual hard drive now. And the VirtualBox disk image is fine. And then you can select dynamically located or fixed size. If you want better performance, you'll pick fixed size and it will create the disk right now. But we'll just leave it at dynamically located. And then this is your hard drive size. We'll just leave it at 8 gigabytes. And then you can right click and then go to settings and then storage. Then controller IDE, right click there and add CD or CD/DVD device and then choose disk. And then pick your ISO. Here it's Debian 7.8. And then OK. And then start. And this is just what it will look like on your monitor. Except it will be full screen and there won't be any windows or anything around. And I'm running Debian right now. So I'm using KDE. So to switch it to KDE, you go to Advanced Options, then Alternative Desktop Environments, and then select KDE. Otherwise, it's the GNOME desktop environment. So we'll just leave it at GNOME for now, and then go to Install. And then it will load up. So first you want to select your language. We'll do English. And then your location, United States. And key map to use, American English. And you just use the arrow keys to select a different option. And then press enter when you want to select it. So then we'll go through some detecting stuff and scanning. Then it will load additional components. And then you will put in your host name. This will be, like it will say your login name at this host name. We'll just leave it at Debian. And then the domain name you want to use. So if you're setting up a home network, you can make something up. But make sure you use the same domain name on all your computers. So this will just use myhome.com. And then you type in your root password. And then verify it. And then you'll type in a full name for a new user. So for me, it'd be Alex Byland. And then the username for account, this is what you log in as. So if you were to SSH into this computer, this would be your login name, or when you just log into the computer. So we'll have it Alex, and then you put in the password for that user, and then verify the password. And then you will select your time zone. So we'll select my time zone. Then it will detect some hardware. Load additional components. Setting up the partitioner. Here we need to partition the disks. That's where the actual OS is stored on the hard drive. So we'll just use guided, use entire disk. And then we'll select the hard drive we want to install it on. And then here you can select how you want to partition the drive. So you can either do all files in one partition, you can do a separate home partition, and you can do a separate home, user, var, and temp partitions. So like right here, recommended for new users, it's fine to have it all on one partition. And the reason why you'd want to split them up, so if you have a separate home partition, then if you're creating a whole bunch of files or something, and you fill up your home partition, it won't fill up the rest of your hard drive. So the computer will still be operational, it won't block everything off, and the hard drive will still be usable in other system directories like var for temp or for log files and stuff like that, and temp partitions. So if you don't want temporary files to overrun your hard drive or something, you could do separate partitions. So we'll just leave it at all files on one partition. Then we'll create the partition, well, not create it yet. And then, so it will just let us confirm what we want to save it as. And so every Linux setup will have a swap partition. That's like, kind of like overfill RAM. So if you use up all the RAM on your system, it will start saving the data onto your hard drive. So it will just be slower, but your computer will still be able to operate. So we'll just say finish partitioning and write changes to disk. Write changes to disk, we'll hit the left arrow key to yes, and then hit enter. And then it will format the partitions. And then it will start installing the system. So then it will configure apt, that's your package manager. So then if you have another DVD or CD, so like number 2 and 3, you can use those. Since I just have the first DVD, we'll say no. And then use a network mirror. This will let you get the packages from the internet, so you'll want to say yes. Then you'll pick your country, and then it will let you select what mirror you want to use, the archive mirror. And then so you'll just pick one, and then here, if you use a proxy, you'll set that. Since I don't have a proxy, just hit tab, and it will bring you, or you can hit the arrow down key, and then so just continue or put in your proxy information. So this will set you into a popularity contest. That's for software that's used on your system. So they can decide what goes into the next distribution or not, depending on what people use what. So you can either participate in the package usage survey or not. Just pick whatever you want. And here you can select different software you want to install. So you probably want the SSH server, or you maybe don't. But you can select to do the web server, SQL database, SSH server, file server, mail server, DNS server, all that. You can have the desktop environment, or you can just, if you're just using it as a server, you can deselect that. Just hit space on whichever one you want to select or deselect. I'll just go ahead and select the SSH server, and then tab over to continue. So once the software is done installing and updating, it will install the grub bootloader. That's what it will load into the grub bootloader before it loads the operating system. This is where you would have dual booting and stuff like that, you'd be able to select multiple operating systems through the bootloader. So it's saying that this is the new installation. It's the only operating system on the computer. Well, if so, it should be safe to install the grub bootloader to the master boot record. So since this is the only operating system that's being installed on the computer, we'll just go ahead and install the grub bootloader to the master boot record. And then it will tell you the installation is complete. So to make sure to remove the installation media so it boots into the system and not boot into the installation. So right there you would just take out the DVD, I guess, and then hit OK. And then your system will reboot. And then it will grub loading, welcome to grub. And this is grub right here, so you can either boot into the normal operating system or you can boot into recovery mode. And if you don't press anything, it will automatically boot into your operating system. And when this window changes sizes, on your computer it will just change resolutions on your monitor. Then we'll give some loading information while it loads up the operating system. So then here is what your screen will look like. You'll just select U and put in the password, and then it will just load up the system. This window right here, though, will be your whole monitor if you install it on your desktop rather than in VirtualBox. And so this is what GNOME looks like. You have all your applications and stuff here, and here is where you would access the terminal. So then you just type in commands like normal, and see there's the username at Debian. That was the host name we put in earlier in the installation. And to get out, you just type exit, or you can just click the X. Let's see. So you click your name right here, shut down, lock screen, switch user, log out, system settings. I'll just go ahead and shut it down. Then it would bring you back into the console while it's doing all the shutdown information. And that's the installation of Debian. And it will go slower on your system because I'm cutting this video out of, like, all the pauses and stuff have been cut out, so it might take a little while longer than in this video.